What's going on, guys? Today I'll be going over and giving tips for one of the most frequent questions I get in my comments. How do you control the recoil so well? When comparing to other console shooters, PUBG has very high recoil and absolutely no aim assist. This tends to completely throw players off when they expect their aim to carry over from other online shooters. Now, before I go in depth about recoil, I'd like to talk about some basics that everyone should know. Muscle memory is probably the biggest factor when having a consistently accurate shot. So if you're having trouble with sensitivity, find something that feels right and don't change it. Over time, your thumbs will get used to whatever sensitivities you use, and your recoil won't feel as bad as it once did. Muzzle attachments and grips also have a huge part when reducing a weapon's recoil. When looking at muzzles, the compensator will reduce more vertical and horizontal recoil than other muzzle attachments. For most players and myself, this will be the go-to option when using an automatic weapon. The suppressor and flash hiders can also be useful in certain situations, but do not offer the same amount of recoil control as the compensator. When picking a grip, I will always go with the vertical foregrip when available. This grip really reduces the vertical recoil compared to other grips, and since I used it all the time, I have developed a certain muscle memory that makes it easier for me to control. This can go for any grip. If you use a certain grip enough, you will learn what pattern it tends to make at different distances. If you change to another grip because you hear how good it is, it can throw you off a bit since they all have different recoil patterns. So if you have a certain grip that works well for you, then maybe don't change it so you don't have to learn something entirely different. With the basics out of the way, I'll start by covering some tips and tricks you can use when going fully auto, burst, and single fire. Keep in mind when I'm showing these demonstrations, I will not have any type of grip or muzzle attachment on my weapons, and the controller cam is shot from my phone and will not be exact with the shooting on the screen. I just wanted to give you guys examples of how I move my thumbs to control the different recoils. When spraying, you can kill an enemy extremely fast but also lose control just as fast. If you're using full auto, you want to pull down on the right stick at a very consistent speed. If you pull down on your stick too fast or too slow, your spray will either go way too high or way too low. Keeping this speed consistent with what your sensitivity calls for will make a much more controllable spray. One more tip you can use to control recoil is to crouch before shooting. Crouching reduces vertical and horizontal recoil, and if I have time before an enemy sees me, I'll crouch before my shot. You will need the same consistent pull down when shooting bursts as well. At the end of each burst, let go of the stick and start the pull down again. Also, when I'm shooting, I will try not to focus on controlling the horizontal recoil as much. When I do this, it tends to throw off my pull down speed and messes up my whole shot. If my horizontal recoil gets too out of whack, then I find it better to restart my spray or burst. When in single fire, your tapping on the trigger and pull down on the stick should be at the same pace. This is the same concept as the spray or burst, except you'll need to stop pulling down in between shots. For me, this took a while to get used to because you need to try to control every shot instead of pulling down for one spray. When trying to control any type of gunfire, keep in mind your sensitivity, distance from target, and attachments will each affect the speed you should pull down on your stick. Also, when shooting a target, you should keep in mind that standing still makes it easier for you to control your recoil. But if you stand still, it also makes you an easier target to hit. So if you're in a gunfight, and if you choose whether to strafe or stand still, keep in mind that they both have their advantages and disadvantages. If you choose to stand still, then you will always have better recoil control than if you're walking around trying to shoot the enemy. For more clarification, here's a video of Shroud explaining some aspects of recoil control.
You don't really need to. So the amount that you pull down on an M4 spray or any spray always changes based off of where you start your spray or the distance that you're spraying, right? Like if you're this close, you're shooting at a guy at this wall right here. You don't need to adjust the spray at all. It just goes straight and you'll kill him, right? But if you're shooting at someone like down there a little bit, that's a little further, right? Now you got to pull down a little bit more. And then you go even further away. You have a 4X on, like down there. You have to pull down even harder, right? Just depends on your distance. It also depends on your attachments. The more attachments you have, the more comfortable your spray is going to feel, and the less like compensating that you have to do, right? So if I took this comp off and I took this stock off, right? And then I tried spraying down here. See how it kind of bounces a little more? You can still do it, but it kind of bounces left and right. So everything changes based off attachments. That's like kind of what provides like inconsistent gameplay, but it's fun. You know what I mean?
Well everyone, I hope this video was helpful. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is to find your perfect settings and practice these types of methods when shooting. It also tends to work well when I don't use a lot of force on the right stick. Not having the urge to jam my sticks gives me more control and is less likely that I will overcompensate. If you enjoyed this video and want more videos just like it, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, it really helps out the channel. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.